Next draft is one of the more intriguing and interesting ones to me in the entire landscape of every team, because you look at the Tennessee Titans, they only picked 4 players. Anthony actually brought this up in the chat, and I was just saying, they only picked 4 guys, and they maneuvered up the board and down the board a lot, but they picked at least 2 players that I really like. They picked Rashon Evans and Harold Landry, who I said were 2 of my top 5 favorite players in the draft class, just that not in terms of talent, like overall players, but like just 2 of my favorite guys. Rashon Evans comes in, and he's probably going to at least replace Avery Williamson, probably be better in my opinion, because I think he's a good linebacker from Bama. Again, these are 2 guys that I thought New England could have picked. So looking at them, I think landing him is you're bringing a leader to this defense. Obviously, Mike Vrabel knows his edge rush linebackers. That's his expertise. Playing as a linebacker, then coaching in college and coaching in Houston. He's had a lot of experience there. And then you have Harold Landry, second-round pick, who I thought is arguably the best pure pass rusher in the draft, and he fell all the way. I think it was because of injury. He didn't have the greatest 2017 season, but in the 2016 season, he led the nation in sacks with like 16 and a half or something. He could end up being a really good pass rusher. If both of these picks are landed, you could potentially have, a really good Pro Bowl linebacker and a really good Pro Bowl pass rusher. And I think the Titans needed both these players. They've kind of fixed their secondary. They brought in Malcolm Butler. They brought in Logan Ryan last year. They drafted Adoree Jackson. They have some good safeties now. They needed those front 7 players. Offensively, you still have a good offensive line, and you maybe needed a receiver. But again, with these four picks, and you picked Corey Davis really high last year. So, I mean, you've already addressed some of those positions that you maybe needed some more players at. But Luke Falk, I just need to say, at 199 is an interesting pick. We'll see if he turns out to be as good as the other one at 199. AC, what'd you think of this Titans draft?
Yeah, I gave it a A-, but obviously it could be a lot better. I just like 4 picks. But like you said, Rashon Evans right away is a starter on a playoff team, right? You make the playoffs last year. He comes in there and he's an inside linebacker that I think is, could be up there.
And to me, the Titans should be better this year than they were last year.
For sure. Harold Landry, obviously he could be just join the rotation of Arakpo and Morgan, and then obviously take over for Arakpo, because probably Arakpo has only got maybe this season, maybe another season. And then Dane Cruikshank is listed as a safety in the draft, but it looks like they're moving him to corner. So just depth there, because I actually like Kevin Byard was like kind of one of the surprising stories last year. The way
didn't he lead the league in interceptions?
Yeah, and just like all over the field, like a very good center fielder. And then Cyprian is decent enough there. So I guess those are the picks. Defense, and then just quickly about Luke Falk, I thought he was actually better than Rudolph. In my opinion, I was actually surprised that he fell all the way to the 6th round. I thought he was better than that. So we'll see. The way Mariota plays, he could be injury prone, so it's good to have a backup, because if not, I don't think Blaine Gabbert's the guy. So hopefully, Luke Falk.
Magic Man?
Luke Falk gets to be the second QB, and who knows? It could be a situation where it won't matter. If Mariota doesn't get hurt, then Luke Falk is just like a backup his whole career, right? Because other than that, you won't get the chance. But maybe he will. Hopefully not for Titans fans. Tennessee's looking decent this year for sure. And then obviously bringing in Dion Lewis. That 1-2 punch is way better. Henry with Lewis is way better than Henry and Murray by 1,000 times, because they're so different. Receiver, they have guys that are getting better, like Tajay Sharp and Taywan Taylor. Like, they're decent slot receivers.
I do think Davis can be a number 1. Yeah, I think he can develop.
Maybe it's just the growing. And we've seen receivers struggle a lot, rookie receivers, right? There was a thing, a lot of the people were talking about it, how it's kind of been like the downfall of the NFL draft really is top-end receivers, because none of them have worked out in a while. It takes a while. Like, I think you're seeing like obviously Juju Schuster-Smith. There's some guys that work out, but all these top receivers, like Mike Williams was hurt. he's pretty much playing his rookie year this year. Yeah, so it's interesting. I hope they're actually a fun team to watch. I don't mind them. They're never a team that's like I have a negative connotation with. So
yeah, and we'll see how Mike Vrabel does with, as a head coach, because obviously that's a big change. So we'll see with the Titans. I think at this point I'd probably put them in the playoff conversation, and I think this draft does help them in that regard. They get a pass rusher, they get a linebacker, they get a couple depth players on their roster to hopefully improve this team into a playoff push this year.